that he has to mature into. And you can only do that with experience. And in connection with the experience, you have to get it in order to know whether you can actually
whether you can play. You got to play game time game.
And
look, here's another thing,
Doug.
I think the issue he has is that Tyler Shark's right on his tail, right? So I think he's going to play it a little safer. You know, it's fourth down. You don't take a sack at the end of the game. You just throw it, right? But I don't want that interception. You know, because I don't want to make a mistake. And I think once he's in that groove and feels comfortable that he's going to be the starter, and it's going to take just a horrible game to get pulled. I think he'll learn that. Okay, I'm gonna try to throw this guy open. I'm gonna make it to where I'm gonna take a chance and not be too worried about getting pulled.
Now, one thing is interesting about the NFL is last week the San Francisco 49ers without Kittle and without Purdy is a Arizona Cardinals or Tennessee Titans. They're an average team.
Yep.
And, it's interesting if Mac Jones quarterback 49ers for the rest of the year, they're going to be 7-10, 8-9, maybe 9-8. But you put Kittle, you put Purdy on the team, they're 11-5, 11-5, 12-4, 10-6. And what it goes to show you is I think the base of a lot of the teams are pretty even. It's just the teams that are winning has that one or two superstars that elevate it to that next level. Lamar Jackson with Baltimore, Josh Allen with Buffalo, Mahomes with Kansas City, quarterback for the Rams, Stafford, who's when he's healthy. And it's interesting that basically that seems to be the missing ingredient for the Saints. Now we have a good player with Kamara. On defense, we have okay players, not superstars that you would say these guys are elevate the defense to the next level. But that's the key in the next couple of years. Do you have that Kittle? Do you have that Purdy? Do you have that superstar, that Lamar Jackson or Derrick Henry, that is going to set you apart when it takes you from a 7-10, 8-9, 9-8 team to a perennial playoff team? The Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow. We're going to see what the Bengals are without Joe Burrow. I mean, I would guess they're probably a little bit of a sub-500 team. They won last week with Jake Browning coming in the game, but you will see. So I think that's another interesting aspect. So I guess most of the teams do have a base where they could win 5, 6, 7 games, 8 games. It's just having a couple of superstars that elevate your team and are responsible for 3 or 4 wins. And, I guess this week we got Sam Darnell. We're playing Seattle with a quarterback who's had hot and cold career, probably more cold than hot, but he's probably been more hot in the last year than he has been cold. So it'd be interesting to see. Test. It'll sort of be a nice barometer as to what their progress is, what Spencer Rattler's progress is, and whether they can compete in Seattle on a West Coast game, or do they take a few steps back. But I guess we'll see. But again, Seattle, I see them as a 9-8 team, 8-9 team. I don't see them as a playoff team. They just don't have that 2 or 3 superstars that elevate you into that double figure.
And this is a very beatable team. I know you're playing there and it's loud, but if you're not looking at the lights and you can turn that off and just play ball, Saints could come away with a win here.
Well, Sam Darnell can beat anyone. He can lose to anyone. That's been his entire career, and so it'll be an interesting test. Let's take a break. We'll talk a little bit about LSU, and then we'll go to. I guess we'll have to talk law at some point in the show.
Yeah.
in the midst of football season. So there you go. All right, let's take a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, you Weekend Lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
Saints fans, get ready for Drew and Bobby. Bobby and Drew. QB to QB. Wednesday on WWL. Check in with Bobby Hebert and Drew Brees. 4:30 every Wednesday as they break down the last Saints game and preview the next matchup. Don't miss QB to QB, the ultimate Saints conversation with the first quarterback to take the black and gold to the playoffs and the NFL legend who led the Saints to a Super Bowl win. Drew Brees and Bobby Hebert. Wednesdays at 4:30 on WWL.
The IRS is more aggressive than ever, and your tax problems won't disappear on their own. They're holding your life hostage, wrecking your credit, your peace of mind, and your future. Hi, I'm Danielle with Go Tax Resolution. We specialize in resolving delinquent tax issues and will help protect your bank account, your wages, and your assets. Don't wait another day. Don't bury your head in the sand. Regain your life. Call us at 985-722-1040 or visit us at gotaxresolution.com. That's GEAUX taxresolution.com.
The IRS is ramping up collections, and that means more wage garnishments, bank levies, and aggressive action. Hi, I'm Caitlin with Go Tax Resolution. You owe back taxes. The time to act is now. Don't face the IRS alone. At Go Tax Resolution, we know how to protect your assets and your peace of mind. Call Go Tax Resolution at 985-722-1040 or visit gotaxresolution.com. That's GEAUX taxresolution.com.
The Maple Street Cafe is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner on historic Maple Street in the heart of uptown New Orleans. An intimate cafe feel with mouth-watering Mediterranean and Italian cuisine, the Maple Street Cafe prides itself with healthy yet affordable entrees and a traditional New Orleans experience. Please call ahead to make a reservation or your takeout order. As always, Maple Street urges you to eat local and appreciates the opportunity to feed your friends and family. Visit online at maplestreetcafenola.com.
The moment they come into the world, we do our best, trying to get it right. So what happens when something goes wrong? That's when we have to get it right. The Center for Cancer and Blood Disorders at Manning Family Children's, the biggest cancer fighting team in the Gulf South, and the most effective therapies found anywhere, all right here in our own backyard. Manning Family Children's. Fight childhood cancer right. Here. Learn more at manningchildrens.org/cancer.
Are you a business owner doing your own bookkeeping? Why? It makes no sense, literally. Focus on what you do well, like growing your business, and let Accounting Services Unlimited handle your bookkeeping. Hi, this is Thomas Fontes. Accounting Services Unlimited is insanely affordable and will come to you. Call for a free quote. Accounting Services Unlimited, 504-717-6253. That's 717-6253. Or visit us at asu-llc.com.
Everything about a big truck crash is serious. At Dudley DeBosier, we give these cases the attention they deserve.
As soon as you call us, our truck response team jumps into action, gathering evidence, talking to witnesses, and reconstructing the accident.
In order to build a powerful legal case for you.
So if you've been injured, demand Dudley DeBosier. You're on the scene, big truck team.
Truck crash?
Call Dudley DeBosier. Throw your foes up.
Paid jingle singer, Chad Dudley, New Orleans, LA 241633.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Back to all things legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Stream WWL and the shows you love on Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn apps. Or join us on the Oakland Hart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
All right, we're back. That's Sunseri and Albert Nicaud, your weekend warriors. We're on today because the Saints play at Seattle at 3:05. That's take at 11 o'clock with Steve Geller and Charlie Long. Then we got Countdown to Kickoff with Bobby Hebert and Steve Geller. With Bobby Hebert and Steve Geller, and 3:05 kickoff with Deuce and Hoss. So stay tuned. WWL all day. The Tigers, I guess next week we will see really how far they have progressed this year. They played Ole Miss. Ole Miss looked just dominant against Tulane. Tulane is a very, very good football team. And if you looking back on the season, you'd say if you beat Clemson, beat Florida, those are like really, really good teams, and you're a national contender. But then you look at it today, and you have Clemson that's 1-3, very talented. They're 1-3. You have Florida that was beaten pretty soundly by Miami yesterday. They're 1-2, I believe. And so you don't know where LSU is right now based on what we thought Clemson and Florida were and what they are at this point. Ole Miss will determine the progress they've made. Now, yesterday was a perfect warm-up because I think LSU needed an opponent where they can sort of uncork their passing game. Because it was against Florida. Kelly knew that they had a quarterback who was inexperienced, made bad decisions, and the defense could win the game. And so what he didn't want to do was what he did the year before with Florida, where we dominated the game, but yet still lost. So we're going to minimize mistakes, let the defense win it, and that's what they did. But they will not be able to do that over the course of the games. They're going to play Oklahoma, they're going to play Alabama, they're going to ranked in the top 20. They're going to play Texas A&M. They're going to play a very good Arkansas team. So you're not going to be able to win the majority of the games in the SEC without having their offensive passing game uncorked. So basically, we'll see next week, and I don't think yesterday was exactly what they needed to sort of just get the rust out of their passing game. But
and again, the first 2 weeks, you got a Heisman Trophy candidate, quarterback, and they really didn't emphasize their passing game at all. At some point, if you have a strength, you run it. You play to it like you got a strength in your passing game. You throw the ball to set up a run, right? We can't run the ball. You're not opening it up. You're not making them at all worried about a deep threat, or how many times I'm thinking to myself, why would you run the ball there? Why don't you open up on first down with a nice passing play across the middle, see if you can get even a quick slant, something that's going to keep the quarterback on the field and make the linebackers make a decision. I don't know, and I think in that press conference, the press picked it up too, and I don't know if Brian Kelly was just, he kind of realized what was up, and I probably should have thrown our offensive coordinator, probably should have thrown the ball a little more, or he just snapped back and this was an SEC game, we did great. Well, thank God for 5 interceptions. If their quarterback was a little more accurate and didn't make such bad decision, it could have been a different outcome. Yeah. So
well, one thing about I've noticed, I think about Brian Kelly where we are today. I think his greatest attribute is his humility. And I'm going to say this, and that's a weird thing to say after listening to him last week in the press conference. I'm saying his humility in being adaptable through. First of all, if you go back, You had Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley. I think the LSU wanted Lincoln Riley first. I think we're better off with Brian Kelly. I think you go back there and say, would you rather Lincoln Riley, Brian Kelly? I think I'd rather Brian Kelly at this point. One of the things he did was when he brought in his coaching staff originally, he thought he had a national coaching staff and de-emphasized Louisiana and got rid of Corey Raymond. He got rid of Blake Baker. Blake Baker was on the prior staff under Ed Ogeron and sent him on his way, and Blake Baker went to Missouri. And then he adjusted. He said, you know what? We have enough talent in Louisiana so that we can build the base from Louisiana and go back out again. So what he did was he got rid of Brian Polian, the special team, and he brought in Corey Raymond, brought back Blake Baker, who has local ties, and said, no, we're going to build the base for LSU's team from Louisiana and work its way out. So he adjusted. And then after last year, when they didn't have bodies on defense, his initial inclination was to build LSU through the recruiting class. In other words, have players who play here for 4 years and coach them up and keep them here. Then he realized that that's not going, under this new portal environment, that's not going to work, because you're going to coach up half your freshmen and they're going to go somewhere else. So he adjusted again and said, nope, we have to go into the portal and we have to go all in. He got the number one portal class. But as he's going through the LSU game, I mean, as coach, he has made, and the other thing he's made the adjustment was, we need to emphasize defense more. In other words,
no question about that. For 4 years, that was
and so what he did was he has done self-evaluation of his decisions and the organization's decisions, and he had the humility to make the changes, as opposed to maybe a Les Miles, who there were changes staring him in the face and said, no, I'm going to double down and going in the wrong direction. And so that's why I think LSU is where it is today, where they're going to be contending for a national championship, is because he reevaluated each year what he needs to do. And he's not going to publicly admit it, but he's going to say, you know, I'm going to make a change of direction here. The direction I'm going into is not the right direction, and I have to make these changes and adapt. And I think that's been his biggest strength, is he's been able to do that. That's why I think we're contending this year. And, you know, we've had two coaches that I remember in memory. Well, three. I remember Jerry DiNardo. They had Lou Tepper as a defensive coordinator. And LSU had a very, very good offense. He doubled down on Lou Tepper, who said the famous words, it'll take 4 years to implement my offense, which is a problem when you only have players for 4 years.
Right.
And then you had Les Miles, you had Curly Holman, who doubled down on everything that was wrong, and you saw what happened to him. Then you had Les Miles. Les Miles went through an interesting evolution. In 2007, they won the national championship. They had Gary Croton, who's an offensive wizard, in 2007, who ran a great offense, sort of a futuristic offense. And then in 2008, he had Jared Lee, who threw 4 interceptions and completed passes. And Les Miles said, that'll never happen to me again. And went back to the Michigan 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and don't make mistakes, conservative offense. As the game was evolving to a passing type of West Coast read option type offense, he stayed with his base offense, and he never changed. And then the last 4 years were a downward trend because he didn't adapt. You know, Coach Ogeron will bypass him. His issues weren't necessarily, was very complex and multidimensional after he won the national championship. But Brian Kelly was able to adapt. And that's my observation of him, and I think that's why he's probably the right man for the job. Probably not. He doesn't seem to be a likable guy, and I think he's sort of like Nick Saban, 2.0 in his
demeanor.
Yeah, that's what you need. And he's about wins. He's not about making friends. which is good with me. So that's my observation on LSU at this point. So we'll see how it goes from there. But all right, well we'll take a break, and I guess we'll start talking law. And so Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, you Weekend Lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
All things legal on WWL. Live from our Gulf Coast Bank and Trust Company studios. The bank that cares about you. Listen when you want, how you want on the TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey apps.
On your next Monday Night Football, the Detroit Lions face the Baltimore Ravens right after the Saints Coaches Show at 7:30. Catch every primetime game on your home for the NFL, WWL, AMFM.com, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
/radio. Me and my baby going out for drive. Baby and me, we're feeling so alive.
New Orleans, there's no city like it. The sounds and sights attract people from all over the world. As residents, we get to live it every day. When it comes to shopping and dining, choose local. Local businesses are the heartbeat of our community, bringing a unique touch to everything we do and experience right here in New Orleans. When you shop and dine locally, you're helping your neighbors, your friends, and our city thrive, providing jobs and supporting families. It's estimated that for every dollar spent with a local business, 68 cents stays right here, creating a better life for all of us. Whether it's a cozy coffee shop, a family-owned boutique, or your favorite restaurant, shop and dine where you live, work, and play. Brought to you by WWL Radio and the people who live, work, and play here.
Discover rebirth and resiliency with the powerful reopening of Living with Hurricanes, Katrina, and Beyond at the Louisiana State Museum's Presbyterian Galleries. Experience stunning visuals, immersive exhibits, and powerful stories of survival. Trace the journey from devastation to renewal and witness how Louisiana has transformed its future to prevent a disaster like Katrina from happening again. Now open at the Presbyterian in Jackson Square. More information at louisianastatemuseum.org/Katrina.
Hurricane season's here. Have you called Ace Garage Door to inspect your garage door yet? Garage doors are the most vulnerable part of your home, and it is even more important that they are properly wind rated than the roof or windows. If not properly wind rated, strong winds can crush your garage door before tearing the roof right. The best in the industry.
CHI overhead door from Ace won't just look great. It could save your home on the next door.
LLC.com and season. That's AceGarageDoorLLC.com.
Like to travel? People's Health members enjoy peace of mind knowing their health is covered. If you're away from home and need routine medical care, use the United Health Passport benefit from People's Health. You'll pay your usual copay for in-network care. No referrals necessary. And remember, you're always covered for emergency and urgent care worldwide. To learn more, call 1-855-821-2666. Plans are insured through United Healthcare Insurance Company or one of its affiliated companies, a Medicare Advantage organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in the plan depends on the plan's contract renewal with Medicare.
Experience luxury redefined at the all-new Genesis of New Orleans, now open. With a large selection of new Genesis models, you'll find the one that fits your style and needs. Enjoy complimentary maintenance for 3 years or 36,000 miles, plus available pickup and delivery. From sales to service, everything is designed around your comfort and convenience. Stop by and say hi at Genesis of New Orleans on Power Boulevard at the corner of Veterans. Luxury evolved.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-201-7676. 800-201-7676. 800-201-7676.
It's all things legal on WWL and streaming live on the Odyssey, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio apps. To consult with Doug Sunseri or Albert Nicaud, call their office at 504-837-1304 or connect now on the Oakland Hart Jewelers talk and text line 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your all things legal. I tell you, let's go to text line. Well, one thing before we go to text line, it's good that we're not talking about homeowners insurance and hurricane claims.
Right.
And,
Right.
you know, interestingly, predictions regarding hurricane season are, I guess, to keep your job in that, you don't need to be exactly right. So
let's keep on hoping that they're wrong.
We haven't seen anything within 3,000 miles of us, so that's good. And the peak is already, we passed the peak, so hopefully that'll continue. We'll go to it's a text for Albert. It says, Albert, what is better, a will or a trust? I want my kids to avoid probate and taxes after I die. Please advise pros and cons. Thanks, Johnny from Covington. Must be one of your old St. Paul.
Could be. So that's a really loaded question. I'm not honestly a big fan of wills. I'm sorry, of trusts. There certainly are needs for trust, certain instances where you would need a trust. Or might even prefer a trust. Probate is just not that expensive. I had a guy call me the other day and say, "Look, I've got a $5 million estate. I don't want to create a trust because I don't want the lawyer during probate taking 3% of it, and getting $150,000 fee on a $5 million succession just because they opened succession and put us in possession." I said, well, the law used to be a 3% fee, and you could take the lawyer to court to determine whether or not that was, fair or not. But it's no longer that way. People typically will do a flat fee for a particular type of succession. Or they'll do something on an hourly basis or a mixed hybrid, of look, we're going to do this, and this for this fee. But if it's a bit more complicated, or if, there's some disputes among the heirs or whatever, then the fee is going to change and we're going to convert some of those activities to hourly. But it's not an expensive process. In fact, I'm seeing a lot of these law firms, these estate plan law firms charging $8,000-$10,000 for a trust. You could get a revocable trust, right? Which doesn't protect you from liability. It doesn't. You can change it whenever you want, and so it's not. It's not and it's complicated, and you got to put all your assets in it, and you got to buy a vehicle in the name of a trust, and all of those kinds of things. Whereas you just go on and live your life, and when you die, you go open your succession. Yeah, you open the succession. Jefferson Parish, you can sometimes do them in about a week. You file it, and you'll get it back to you signed, ready to go in a week. Now that's after it's you request possession. You still got some things to do. You got to gather the assets and the debts, and you got to make sure that prepare a descriptive list with all your assets, your debts. There's some things that the executor of the estate will have to do to make sure that all of the assets and liabilities of the decedent are accounted for, and that everybody gets placed in possession just like the person executing the will wants it to be. So if you have a special needs child, if you have a particular adult child that is going to spend the inheritance in 6 months, then you might want to put that money in a trust. Certainly if you have a special needs child, an addicted child.
You can put the trust inside the will. You don't have to form a trust at the time.
Of course. Of course. We do testamentary trusts all the time, especially families with young kids. I want to recommend who's going to be the guardian of my children. Of course, it's always up to the courts, and the courts will weigh heavily in favor of whatever the parents want. But so you can make that recommendation. You can have a trust, where somebody becomes the trustee of your children, and that gives them authority over your estate to, pay for education if the kid needs braces, if the kids, whatever. And it's usually the last to die anyway. So a married couple, the trust would not take effect until both parents are deceased. So, the chances of that happening are just so remote, but, you're prepared for it in the event that it does.
We had a new case where the reason the family went with a revocable living trust and transferred all their assets is on the basis they said, well, you won't have a probate fight. You will avoid a potential fight in probate. Well, we have a trust fight. In other words, there's litigation over the trust. Right. And so I think sometimes in selling, well, you won't have a disputed will, you won't have a probate fight. Well, if you have a trust, it doesn't immune you from litigation. I mean, you basically have the same issues. Is the trust valid? Is certain expenditures of the trust not being spent correctly? Is there proper accounting? So, when a part of the sales pitch is you need to do a revocable living trust because you can have litigation when you probate it. Well, you still can have litigation under a trust. So, and I think the other thing too, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit more next hour, is we've had, I think in the last month, I've had, these 3-inch booklets with the trust with all these attachments that we reduced down to a 3-page will that did everything the same, did all the same thing. And so,
if they're going to charge you $10,000 for it, you got to have a lot of.
That's exactly right. And I'm finding as we've been doing this for 37 years, more is not always better. And as I further get into this, I'm more subscribed to the keep it simple, stupid philosophy rather than, trying to anticipate on how we're going to deal if there's a zombie apocalypse and, this happens and this happens and this happens, which has a 0.001% chance of happening. I tell a lot of people, if that happens, you're going to have litigation no matter what. Doesn't matter what you're going to put down on a piece of paper. If you have these extreme situations that nobody anticipates. So, I'm finding that it doesn't need to necessarily be complicated to be right for you. And I think we'll talk more about it, probably next hour. But I think we could. It's just more is not always better. Well, let's take a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, you Weekend Lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
Get the WWL shows you love delivered to your phone free. Download the Odyssey app and follow your favorites. Bobby Hebert, Mike Detillier, Steve Geller. Listen when you want, how you want. Or tell your smart speaker, play WWL. Keep it locked on WWL for breaking sports news. Powered by BetMGM. Smarter bets start with BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app or visit betmgm.com today. WWL is proudly sponsored by Dudley DeBosier, official injury lawyers of the New Orleans Saints. Call 444-4444.
That's 444-4444. Non-attorney spokesperson Chad Dudley, New Orleans.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-906-1788. 800-906-1788. 800-906-1788.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Are you a business owner doing your own bookkeeping? Why? It makes no sense, literally. Focus on what you do well by growing your business and let Accounting Services Unlimited handle your bookkeeping. Hi, this is Thomas Fontes. Accounting Services Unlimited is insanely affordable and will come to you. Call for a free quote. Accounting Services Unlimited, 504-717-6253. That's 717-6253. Or visit us at asu-llc.com.
Educating students since 1921, Delgado Community College offers programs in business, technology, health sciences, and the arts. Our career-focused degrees and certificates are affordable, flexible, and transferable. Whether you're starting your post-high school education or want to advance or change your career, Delgado has something for you. Step closer to being unstoppable at Delgado Community College. Visit dcc.edu to learn more today.
Worked all your life and built an estate to leave to your loved ones. And now it's time to prepare an estate plan, so where do you turn? The last thing you should do is go to some online will and trust service for a cookie-cutter document. You need to meet with an experienced Louisiana estate planning attorney to share your intentions, ask questions, and obtain advice. This is Albert Nicaud of the Nicaud & Simpson Law Firm in Metairie. I've been providing clients with estate planning advice and preparing wills and trusts for over 35 years. When you're ready to plan your estate, call me at 504-837-1304.
Toyota is a proud sponsor of LSU Athletics. Experience the drive of the Tiger in a Tundra or Tacoma. Built to take you wherever the road leads. Visit your local Toyota dealer today.
Reliable high-speed fiber internet with a 90-day guarantee. Let's rev.biz.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Back to attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri on WWL. Stream all things legal and our time-shifted podcasts on Odyssey, TuneIn, and now on the iHeartRadio app. Or connect now on the Aucoin Hart Jewelers Talk and Text line 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. One comment I just wanted to make on listening to Albert's commercial. And it's very good to take cookie cutter online type of estate plan. Just a general rule as far as estate planning is concerned. We got a minute or two before we go to break, but it's better to, if an attorney's trying to, or a online program is trying to take your estate plan and fit it into a cookie cutter, and trying to make it work, rather than what you're supposed to do is say, what are your objectives, and building your estate plan around your objectives, you're probably going to not have things handled the way you want. In other words, if they're trying to say one size fits all for your estate plan, and it's good for everybody, then it's probably not right.
Well,
Yeah.
And the other thing, Doug, is that more often than not, I'm sure if you went on that site and said, I want this, this, and this, it could prepare a document that is legal in Louisiana. Boom. But how often have you had a client come in? Every time, almost, for me, had a client come in and say, well, I'm not sure what to do about this. And, I have this, and here's what I'm thinking about. For instance, I'm going to leave the rental property to all 3 kids. 2 of them live out of town, right? That's a horrible idea. So, there's just, so you need a lawyer with advice that has seen it, that has been through litigation, that has been through family disputes, even without litigation. And, our job is to kind of make it painless for the next generation, so you can rest well in your next destination. So you're not going to get that by just clicking buttons on a computer screen.
Or going to a plate liquor dinner. We call them plate liquors, where they give you a steak and they say, this is what you need. You need maybe a revocable living trust, and everybody needs it, and you avoid probate, and, all this. And it may be appropriate in certain defined situations, but when they're trying to say this is for everyone, just be cautious, because an estate plan is very individualized. And I think what a good estate planner will do is say, what are your objectives? You find that out first, and you build the estate plan around the objectives, and in a way that you get to point A to point B in the most easiest and efficient manner, without a lot of diversions, and without just sort of straightforward. So but we're going to talk more about that. We'll talk about whether you have to pay an inheritance tax. We'll talk about some of the things which most of us don't. Albert may have to, but most of us don't.
Yeah, right.
CBS News. That was my fault. I was
No problem. No problem. No problem.
I'm Christopher Cruz. The leaders of Canada and Australia said today they now recognize an independent and sovereign state of Palestine. And Britain and France are expected to do the same tomorrow, the same day as the annual UN General Assembly. On CBS's Face the Nation, French President Emmanuel Macron said if the Palestinians don't have a country to call their own, they'll remain under the sway of Hamas.
I recognize the legitimacy of so many Palestinian people who want a state, who are a people, they want a nation, they want a state, and we should not push them towards Hamas.
President Trump is naming one of his lawyers to serve as a top federal prosecutor. Here's CBS's Christian Benavides.
President Trump has nominated White House aide Lindsey Halligan to be the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia after a falling out with the current U.S. Attorney. That office has been investigating New York Attorney General Letitia James over alleged mortgage fraud, but no charges have been brought forward. On social media, the president posted a message directed to Attorney General Pam Bondi, urging action against former FBI Director James Comey, California Senator Adam Schiff, and James.
And on CNN this morning, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was critical of President Trump publicly pressing the Attorney General to prosecute his political opponents.
We need our Republican colleagues more than ever to speak out against this violation of the fundamentals of democracy.
President Trump has just left Washington for Arizona for a memorial service for conservative activist Charlie Kirk. He'll speak along with many others, including Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk. CBS's Stephen Kaufman says a large crowd is getting larger already.
The scene outside State Farm Stadium here in Glendale, Arizona is chaotic. Cars are lined up in every direction I'm looking at here. Hundreds of cars. Thousands of people trying to walk toward the stadium and find parking spaces.
Police are preparing for as many as 100,000 people to fill State Farm Stadium and an overflow crowd at a nearby hockey stadium. Teaching isn't easy, but it's easier in some states than others.
Virginia is the best place to be a teacher, followed by Utah, Washington State, New York, and Illinois. Analyst Chip Lupo says Wallet Hub came up with the list by comparing key factors.
Compensation is the big thing.
That includes higher average salaries, as well as tenure protections and resources. States also earned credit for investing heavily per student and passing laws that improve school system quality.
CBS's Heather Bosch. At least 2 men have died and 5 others have been injured in a shooting in Indianapolis this morning. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
WWL First News. Happy Sunday. I'm Courtney P. on your official weather station, WWL.
It's the last day of the summer season, and it is going to be hot today for your Sunday. We'll have a blend of sunshine and clouds. Temperatures will be in the 90s this afternoon. It'll be hot and a bit more humid, and there is a small chance for a stray shower today.
WWL TV meteorologist Alexa Trishler has a full look at the forecast coming up. NOPD is investigating 2 shooting incidents in Algiers. The first happened just after 1 p.m. on Newton Street on Saturday. 3 people were injured. 1 was taken to the hospital. 2 others arrived by private transport. A few hours later, police arrived on the scene of another shooting. This one happened at around 6 p.m., right around the 5700 block of Garden Oaks Drive. And as WWL TV's Amelia Strahan tells us, these are 2 incidents added to a violent week in New Orleans.
Police have reported at least 7 different shootings across the city. According to NOPD, Saturday, 1 man was injured in an Upper Ninth Ward shooting. Friday afternoon, another in the French Quarter. Wednesday and Thursday, a total of 4 people were injured in 3 separate shootings in New Orleans East. And Tuesday, a man was shot and killed in Milneburg. Crime is still down significantly from this time last year.
ICE detainees are on hunger strike at Angola State Prison. WWL TV's Lily Cummings has more.
Well, over a dozen people detained by ICE in Angola prison are on a hunger strike. The National Immigration Project told our partners at The Advocate 19 ICE detainees are protesting what they describe as an inadequate medical care and the lack of hygiene products, and that detainees with chronic and mental health conditions are not receiving their prescription medications.
Detainees reportedly have not eaten in 4 days. Catch day 2 of the West Bank Heritage Festival today out at the Ilario Center. Along with great food and local vendors, DJ Jubilee, Mia X and the Original Pinettes, and Choppa are all set to take the stage.
This WWL Sports Update is brought to you by People's Health. Today, the Saints have their first road test of the year when they battle the 1-1 of the Eagle Seahawks. Saints legendary quarterback Drew Brees said Seattle was one of the toughest environments he had to play in, and the Black and Gold should expect to deal with a lot of noise from the Seahawks' 12th man.
I think you just have to go into it where just assume that you will not be able to communicate verbally at all at the line of scrimmage. So a lot of times it was, hey, it's going to be a simpler game plan because we need to make sure that we can get in and out of the huddle up and down with tempo and everybody knowing what to do. But understand that you're probably not going to be able to hear anything at the line of scrimmage. It's all going to be nonverbal, and you just got to communicate with a lot of efficiency.
And if the environment wasn't enough, Odyssey NFL Insider Mark Schlereth, the host of the podcast, the Saints offense has a tall task against Seattle's defensive front.
Defensively, I think Mike McDonald's really good.
Interesting.
Inside guys, the interior of that defense is really good. Leonard Williams, big cat, is phenomenal. He's so big and he's agile and he can beat you with power, beat you with quickness and good speed. So he's a guy that I have a lot of respect for the way he plays.
Kickoff between the Saints and Seahawks is today at 3 p.m., and the countdown to kickoff featuring Bobby Hebert and Steve Geller starts at 1 o'clock right here on the home of the Saints, WWL. Hopping to college football, number 3 LSU jumped out to an early lead over Southeastern, which allowed backup QB Michael Van Buren to get some game action.
Van Buren takes the snap. Looks left, now back center of the field. Crossing route caught. It'll be Parker. Parker breaks a tackle inside the 10, the 5. Spins down at the goal line and finds Pater. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers.
LSU crushed Southeastern 56-10 to improve to 4-0 this year. Up next, they hit the road for a ranked SEC showdown against Ole Miss. Charlie Long, WWL Sports.
Now, the Serve Pro Cleanup, Restoration, and Construction forecast on WWL.
Expect a hot Sunday, but it will be nice. We'll have a mix of sunshine and clouds. It'll feel a bit more humid, and temperatures will be in the 90s this afternoon. And there is a small chance for a stray shower today, but not expecting much. For the new work week, as we kick off the fall season, it'll be hot every day with temperatures in the 90s. We'll see partly cloudy skies, and our rain chances will be going up, and it will feel a bit more humid. We'll see a couple spotty showers and storms Monday and Tuesday, but by Wednesday and Thursday, we'll see a much higher chance for some scattered rain and storms, and possibly some heavier showers by Wednesday and Thursday. From WWL Louisiana, I'm meteorologist Alexis Frischler.
I'm Courtney P. WWL First News.
WWL Louisiana.
From WWL, the news, talk, sports powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's all things legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Underwritten by Nicaud and Seamson Law Firm and the Sunseri Law Firm. Join us on the Oakland Heart Jewelers talk and text line 504-260-1870 or connect anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, live from our Gulf Coast Bank and Trust Company studios, the bank that cares about you, here's Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, we're back for hour number 2. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, weekend lawyers, all things legal. So I got 3 comments before we go to Oklahoma. First comment. The spread for the LSU Southeastern game is 47. And, boy, those guys in Las Vegas are good. They're really good. You'll never beat them. You never beat them. Number 2, I'm just sort of asking this rhetorically. We've had 7 shootings last night. And what are the mayoral candidates, the big 3, what's their position on bringing in the National Guard? Just an interesting question. I've heard all 3 of them, and I think all 3 of them are wrong on their position on that issue. I guess they're okay with, doing the same thing that doesn't work. The third thing is I walked in the other room and I'm seeing Charlie Kirk's, that they're starting to prepare for his funeral. Don't want to really get into the politics of anything except there needs to be more dialogue on college campuses regarding all points of view and let people debate it out and disagree in an agreeable fashion in order to sort of like let people come to their own conclusions. And I think I've had 2 children. I have 2 of my kids go through law school in the last 8 years. And one of them, the first day of class wasn't about, or the orientation wasn't about, this is how you study. These are the classes you need to take. These are the things, the requirements for law school. This is the type of things that are helpful. They were being indoctrinated with one side of an issue that was popular at that time. And then when she tried to object to it, she was shut down. A very similar experience that Katie had when she was in law school. And I think one thing that needs to be done, regardless of your politics, and I personally, I think he's spot on to most things. And I was a big fan of him, but I understand people aren't. Some people aren't. But one thing you cannot disagree with is the fact that in law schools and in colleges, you need more debate by all sides of the issue and let people decide for themselves rather than having what, I think Katie experienced in law school and with the other one at LSU Law School is more of an indoctrination rather than open debate. So, I just think that, regardless of what you think about what Charlie Kirk thought about, what his politics were, Um, it is undisputable that for the last indefinite past, that you've not had robust debate about all issues on an equal footing. And so hopefully we'll have that on college campuses where anyone who has a point of view is able to air it in a way that's respectable and it will be taken into consideration and will not be shut down. So that's my little, there you go. Okay, let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Mark at home. He's got a question regarding legality of a will. Hey, Mark, you on All Things Legal.
Good morning, guys. I have two quick questions. One is a handwritten, notarized will hold up in court, if it's not contested?
Oh, that's a good law school question.
All right. So it could be, right? And actually, there's been some sweeping changes in this last legislative session regarding handwritten wills and other types of wills. So what you're referring to is what's called an holographic will, and it's got to be dated. It's got to be completely written in the testator's handwriting. The person writing the will has to be in their handwriting, and it has to be signed by the testator. If that's the case, you have a valid will. The whole notarization thing, the notary doesn't know what they're doing if they're notarizing a handwritten will. So that's a subject for another day. But just a handwritten will is a valid will. Now, it's a little harder to probate because now you've got to have the heirs attest that it is a valid will, that it is the testator's handwriting, they recognize it, etc. So, but yeah, so that a handwritten will is valid. So what? Well, you got a situation or what?
No, not really. I mean, I haven't made a will yet. I'm getting up in age, and having a discussion the other day. Somebody thinks they're a lawyer, told me that if something was to happen to me and I don't have a will, now I have two children, been married 46 years. They both, my kids, my wife and me's kids. If something were to happen to me, could one of the children, if they wanted to, say they want their share of the house while my wife is still alive?
No, so what you have is Article 890, right? It's an 890 use of fraud. It's called a use of fraud. Basically means that your wife, the surviving spouse, will have use of fraud over the house and all of the community property until remarriage. So if she should remarry, then the usufruct would terminate. Now you can confirm that usufruct for life in a will, but otherwise, 46 years of marriage, my guess is she's probably not going to remarry again. So, so what will happen is they cannot kick her out of the house, right? No, they cannot do that. That is by operation of law and without a will. So usufruct comes from the Latin two words, usus and fructus. Usus means you get to use it, right? And fructus are the civil fruits. And so with the civil fruits mean if you had rental property, you get the income from the rental property. If you have investments, you get the income from the investments. Those are the fruits. And you have the right, you have the use of the corporeal movable and immovable, the house, all the furnishings, the vehicles, that sort of thing. So you're good to go where that's concerned. And you live in Louisiana, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And one other thing is, they say really if you live in Louisiana, you don't need a will. Is that true? Because it's so, the state has got.
You could die without a will, but the way the state imposes how you will be disposed may be different than what you intend.
Right, I understand. I do.
Yeah.
To get one. I just have to one of those things. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And ain't been.
Well, let me tell you what. I think more importantly, in your situation with a, kind of what we call a spouse in the house and a couple of kids, I think you need a power of attorney more so, than a will. The power of attorney will give your spouse, or if it's one of your children after your spouse dies, the power to look with all this privacy stuff and the HIPAA stuff and all that. You'd be surprised how a surviving spouse has trouble getting medical records or getting billing or getting insurance information, get tax information, all that kind of stuff from their spouse while they're still alive. Now, the power of attorney only goes until your death. But during your lifetime, if one of you becomes incapacitated or unable to make decisions on your own behalf, that power of attorney you can bring to the bank, you can give to the insurance company, Blue Cross will have it all for you. And so it gives you that right to make decisions on behalf of your spouse, and more importantly, just obtain that information that you would need just to take care of your spouse. And I would truly recommend that.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. So I would give her power of attorney, and she would give me one where we would get one. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And then you would select an alternate, right? So in the event one of you dies, you don't have to run back to the lawyer and change it. So if your power of attorney says my spouse dies before me, and I lose my capacity, I want this person to take care of my affairs during my lifetime. And then the last thing that we typically do as part of the package is a living will, advance directive, where you tell the doctors and your family, I don't want to be kept alive artificially.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a very inexpensive thing in terms of, in relation to not having it, put it that way.
Right.
Yeah, call the office. We can help you out.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the call. All right. Let's go to text line. Let's one of Texas. Is there? Well, let me backtrack. We just had recently someone come in and say, "I want to have a trust so I can avoid inheritance taxes." And so I said, "Do you own a football team?" He said, "No." "Do you own a publicly traded oil company?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, then there's probably a good chance you won't have to pay taxes." But basically, and I was going to throw the question to you, Albert. What is the? Do you have to pay inheritance tax when you die?
Louisiana has no state inheritance tax, and the federal government starts at $15 million a year as of 2026. So $15 million per person, not per year. $15 million per person. So you and your spouse, if it's all community property, you'd have to have over $30 million in assets to have to pay any type of inheritance tax. So that answer is a no for like 99.99.
So there you go. So you don't have to worry about that. All right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, you Weekend Lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
Want to take your game day experience to the next level? Party like a black and gold battle the jump. VIP tailgate from BullseyeEventGroup.com. Eat food from celebrity chef Aaron May, all overlooking Champion Square with a great view of the dome. Right now, simply enter to win at WWL.com/contests. Win the ultimate game day experience from WWL.
The IRS is more aggressive than ever, and your tax problems won't disappear on their own. They're holding your life hostage, wrecking your credit, your peace of mind, and your future. Hi, I'm Danielle with Go Tax Resolution. We specialize in resolving delinquent tax issues and will help protect your bank account, your wages, and your assets. Don't wait another day. Don't bury your head in the sand. Regain your life. Call us at 985-722-1040 or visit us at gotaxresolution.com. That's GEAUX taxresolution.com.
The IRS is ramping up collections, and that means more wage garnishments, bank levies, and aggressive action. Hi, I'm Caitlin with Go Tax Resolution. If you owe back taxes, the time to act is now. Don't face the IRS alone. At Go Tax Resolution, we know how to protect your assets and your peace of mind. Call Go Tax Resolution at 985-722-1040 or visit gotaxresolution.com. That's GEAUX taxresolution.com.
Like to travel? People's Health members enjoy peace of mind knowing their health is covered. If you're away from home and need routine medical care, use the United Health Passport benefit from People's Health. You'll pay your usual copay for in-network care. No referrals necessary. And remember, you're always covered for emergency and urgent care worldwide. To learn more, call 1-855-821-2666. Plans are insured through United Healthcare Insurance Company or one of its affiliated companies, a Medicare Advantage organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in the plan depends on the plan's contract renewal with Medicare.
Are you a business owner doing your own bookkeeping? Why? It makes no sense, literally. Focus on what you do well, like growing your business, and let Accounting Services Unlimited handle your bookkeeping. Hi, this is Thomas Fontes. Accounting Services Unlimited is insanely affordable and will come to you. Call for a free quote. Accounting Services Unlimited, 504-717-6253. That's 717-6253. Or visit us at asu-llc.com.
8 p.m. this Thursday, Silver Slippers turning up the excitement with 27 slippers of cash. One winner will take home $85,000 cash or $500 free slot play. Win big on the beach in Hancock County. Silver Slipper Casino, your host on the coast. Complete rules at silverslipper-ms.com.
ServPro, the #1 choice in cleanup and restoration. Whether it's mold, fire, storm, water, or roof damage, we've got a pro for that. We're the ones who make like it never even happened happen. Call 504-468-3046. ServPro.
There's a place in the heart of New Orleans where everyone is welcome and where hope for the future stands just up the street from the past. For 10 years, University Medical Center has carried on a spirit of charity, bringing advanced health care to all people of New Orleans and teaching new generations about caring for one another together. It's a place that turns tragedy into triumph every day. University Medical Center, New Orleans, where health finds hope.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured product or compounded drug products. Effectiveness or quantity. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want to boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments including pills, chews, and more. 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, hims.com/joy.
Back to All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Stream WWL and the shows you love on Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn apps. Or join us on the Oakland Hart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, you can all things legal on game day. Got the Saints and Seahawks at 3:05. Turn down the sound and put on Deuce and Hoss. Man, I feel so bad for Mike since he's taken over. He's so enthused. I mean, he's like, the Saints never have like a
great. And I go to the championship. He was great.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man, I just hope
he's a transplant that bought into the whole New Orleans scene. He loves it.
Just for his sake, that hopefully in the next couple of years to be able to call like a playoff. So, all right, let's go to phone lines. Let's go to our friend Sam in Gretna. He's got a couple of questions. Hey, Sam, what's happening on Sunday morning in Gretna, brother?
Hey, Mr. Nico, Mr. Sunseri, the wet blankets that don't like Nico and Sunseri sports talk, I got a couple of suggestions. Don't bet on football games. B, they know the drill, they know the routine. If they don't like this, just tune into the second hour. And my question is, at their place of work, do they ever spend any work time chit-chatting about the Saints at work? I mean, think about that one. Yeah, you know, it's especially on a Monday. Anyway, my questions briefly is, Mr. Nico, I left some messages with you all, and I know y'all are vigilant about returning phone calls. And I imagine that either y'all were out of town, or maybe y'all were, spending extra time helping the feds, with the case on Madam Cantrell. So, y'all probably busier than usual this time of the year. But Mr. Nico, I'm going to call your office again and leave my info regarding the conflict of interest situation with a real estate lady that was supposed to be selling my property. And instead she was working a backdoor discount. But I'll call and leave my info again during the week. My workman's comp.
Yeah, please do.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, please do. I was in Miami for a few days, but yeah, I'll leave you info. I'll be happy to call you back.
Yeah. Because in listening to y'all, I understand you're kind of like the legal real estate. This happened before to me 6 years ago, and I let it slide. And I'm thinking, no, not this time. I'm nailing them. But anyway, my workman's comp question is, again, they're harassing me, threatening to cut off my payments, which they've done twice before. I'm trying to get a settlement out of them to divorce myself from these criminals so I don't have to fool with them. And what they'll do, they'll cut my payments off to try to force me into the substandard payment. But their so-called settlement wouldn't even be signed off on by the administrative judge. It doesn't meet the minimum requirement. My question, though, about this form, employee compliance form, since y'all don't waste time with this workman's comp foolishness, are y'all vaguely familiar with that form?
For lump sum settlement?
No. It's called an employee.
Oh yeah. No, you have to sign that. What you're attesting to is you're getting what is called supplemental earnings benefits. And what they're saying is you haven't worked, so you have to attest that you haven't worked, because the concern is that some people are working on the side while they're hurt, and then collecting that money and collecting workers' comp. So what you're doing is they're attesting that you're not receiving compensation or working anywhere else. Yeah. And now I will tell you the other side of this. There's two sides of this. And we had this a lot in the last 10 years, especially with undocumented workers, is you would have, and I'll tell you, we had several cases where you had an undocumented worker under an assumed name that they purchased on the market. And so they got hurt, and they filed workers' comp under that name, and they have another name or identity that they work another job. So they're collecting workers' comp, and they're still working. We've had, and so that's why you signed the compliance form. You're testing the fact that you're not working anywhere else. It's pretty standard fare. So that's all that is.
The question about the form, though, is I filled this out and submitted it twice before. And it says on the bottom of the form, only one copy is needed per employee per case. And so now they're wanting me to fill this out a third time. What I don't understand on the form that doesn't make sense, and it has that I cannot draw unemployment while under
you can't draw unemployment, right? You're not eligible.
Exactly.
Right.
Anyway.
Right,
because unemployment, you have to show your work history before when you were let go and your previous, I think, 5 weeks of payroll. I'm not even eligible to apply for it.
Well, no, I understand, but people are in the system. I've had situations, when I was on is you'd have someone collecting unemployment, collecting workers' comp, working another job. And so I mean, that happens. When it comes to insurance companies, there's always two sides. So a lot of times insurance companies don't step up to the plate. A lot of times they get scammed. And so, I mean, there's two sides of it. And so that's what it is making an attestation that you're not receiving unemployment compensation, you're testing, you're not working another job because workers' comp is based, you're unable to work due to some type of physical disability. And so that's just standard fare. I mean, I understand that the process of getting workers' comp and the paperwork and the hassle and getting cut off and, not getting a lump sum settlement that that is equitable. I understand that. But they also don't want to pay out workers' comp to other workers who are working. And, I think Albert and I both did this when we first started a career. You'd have somebody collecting workers' comp and, or injured offshore, and then they send a private investigator on them, and they pulling up shrimp nets. And so, there's always two sides of the story. So, I think actually, claims adjusters and workers' comp are like just, the rest of humanity. You have some really good ones that you can develop a relationship with and you can work with. Some of them, it doesn't work out that way. But if you're a workers' comp claimant, I always say get your paperwork on time and get it out. Get your mileage to them on time. Get all the information. I'm not saying it'll run smoother than it would otherwise.
Right. You don't want to give them a reason to deny.
My full cooperation for 6 years is what got me stuck in the dilemma that I've been in. And I'm thinking they're misinterpreting my cooperation as weakness. Now, this form, not to tie up the show, but this form that I filled out and submitted twice, even though it says that only needs to be submitted once, because I'm saying, okay, we'll find the copy I sent to y'all last time. They keep on regurgitating the same paperwork to delay it further. So just cut to the chase and submit it a third time then?
Well,
what's it going to hurt?
Yeah.
You see, a lot of times when you're dealing with bureaucracy of government, this is my philosophy, or with banks, with power of attorneys. A lot of times they ask you to resubmit paperwork, and my philosophy is it's going to take me longer to argue with them as to why I don't need to submit it rather than just submit it. Okay? I don't care if you're right or wrong. I'll resubmit it because to prove you wrong is going to take me a lot longer than it is just to resubmit it. And so just from a pragmatic standpoint, you got to you just got to get out your mind, so-and-so's not doing their job. They're asking me to submit it again and decide I shouldn't have to submit it again. That's true. But you want to keep your benefits going, so you just sort of just, grin and bear it and get it to them so that, as Albert said, they don't.
Briefly,
yes, sir.
It's something I'm submitting again, which I have no problem with, is like my medical records release from Medicare. I've submitted, this will be the 6th time, right? How often does that have to be submitted? Now, the form that I was asking you about, it says only one copy needs to be submitted per case, but the Medicare release of records form, how often do I have to update that?
Sometimes Medicare's a little difficult in terms of they want a current form. They don't want something from 3 years ago, right? So they want to keep the form current. And I'm not sure if it's 6 months, if it's a year, whatever it is. But I do know that when we try to do a even personal injury settlement, and we're trying to get medical records through Optum or one of these other companies that works on behalf of Medicare, you'll often have to get your client back in to sign another release form releasing the records to me as the attorney. So
that makes sense. All right, look, I tied y'all up too long, and hopefully we'll have a good victory Monday tomorrow.
Yeah.
There you go.
And again, don't let them ruin your Monday.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks, folks. My uncle's always said there's only one side to be on in gambling. The house.
The house, no question. Right.
So there you go. But yeah, I think, anytime you have like insurance plans, workers' comp claim, it is very frustrating with all the paperwork and all the oversight. But the best thing you do is get them what they want, even if they ask it several times, to keep it flowing.
Well, and like you said, Doug, it makes so much sense because we both did defense work. I did it the first 10 years of my career, and I still do. I still defend lawsuits, but not for insurance companies. But I developed relationships with a lot of those adjusters, and think about it personally. Like you said something earlier that that they're human beings just like we are. But if you get scammed a couple of times, right? Well, you're not going to do that to me again. So then everybody becomes a little untrustworthy, even though they might be the most honest person in the world. I'm going to protect myself from being, scammed. I'm going to protect the company from being scammed. And so they develop this I don't want to say attitude, but this protection that. And skepticism. That's right. Not everybody's a lawyer. I mean, not everybody's a liar. Not everybody's a fraud. But you just have to kind of check some boxes to make sure. And this form is very, very much that, right? Verify that you're still not working. Verify that you're still, not collecting unemployment. You only have to do it once. But if he's been going on for 6 years, and maybe at that point he wasn't, but is he doing it now? So they just want an updated.
Yeah, so and again, I think a lot of to understand the system, you have to understand the balance. And I mean, I think we try to be pretty balanced even during the hurricane season. That you have you have some bad insurance companies that don't do what they're supposed to. They make you go through a lot of hoops, unnecessary hoops, and they try to beat you down on a claim. On the other side, there are a lot of people who are claimants or make claims that are scamming the system. And we've had we've gone through Hurricane Katrina, Katrina, then you had Isaac, you had Rita, you had all of them in succession. And we've had a handful of people walk in our office who try to claim the same damages 3 or 4 times. And we run them off.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't do the repairs and they run them off. So you have that tension.
Or we learn, right. Exactly. We learn all of a sudden they want to claim these floors, as damage from the storm. Well, we get a note from the insurance company saying, "Hey guys, you claim these floors in the last storm, and they're the exact same pictures. We saved our pictures from the last storm, and you submitted the same pictures of the damaged floor." Well, immediately, we call the client into the office and say, "Hey, come get your file. We're not trying to put we don't want that reputation as being a law firm that's going to." We don't, and it's not there for that.
So just if you understand the balance, that one, you don't get so frustrated, and two, you better able to navigate the proceeding because you understand where they're coming from. Because one of the things I always try to do is, what is the person who is making this decision frame of mind? I always try to put my, when we try a case or try an argument for a judge, how is the judge seeing this, and how is he thinking about this, and what information does he need to assess this information and move the needle? And so basically that's what you have to do there, and you could probably avoid a lot of unnecessary pitfalls if you're able to do that. Okay, let's go to a break. That's Sunseri, Albert Nicaud. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
It's WWL, live from our Gulf Coast Bank and Trust Company studios, the bank that cares about you. Listen to the WWL shows you love and the local content you crave on the TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey apps.
Previously on Scoot on the Air.
When Mayor Cantrell had to ask for permission to go to Iceland, when you think about her ego, man, that had to hurt her. But you know what? She put herself in this position. there are still questions about whether or not her bodyguard, Jeffrey Vappy, whether or not he is going to turn on her. I mean, could he become a witness against her to get a lighter sentence?
Don't miss the next Scoot on the Air, weekdays 1 to 4 p.m. on WWL.
Central prescription product and is virtual and feature products is not approved for the FDA use or quality prescription based on online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate through website details, restrictions, and increasing information.
Want to boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments including pills, chews, and more. 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, hims.com/joy.
Me and my baby going out for a drive. Oh, baby, oh, baby. My baby and me, we're feeling so alive. Oh, baby, oh, baby.
New Orleans, there's no city like it. The sounds and sights attract people from all over the world. As residents, we get to live it every day. When it comes to shopping and dining, choose local. Local businesses are the heartbeat of our community, bringing a unique touch to everything we do and experience right here in New Orleans. When you shop and dine locally, you're helping your neighbors, your friends, and our city thrive, providing jobs and supporting families. It's estimated that for every dollar spent with a local business, 68 cents stays right here, creating a better life for all of us. Whether it's a cozy coffee shop, a family-owned boutique, or your favorite restaurant, shop and dine where you live, work, and play. Brought to you by WWL Radio and the people who live, work, and play here.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-906-1788. 800-906-1788. 800-906-1788.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Is your AC older than your favorite 90s sitcom? If your system is huffing and puffing like it just ran a marathon, it's time for an upgrade. Don't wait for a total meltdown. Replace that old clunker now and lower your monthly energy bills while avoiding costly emergency repairs. At Southern Air of New Orleans, we'll install a brand new system designed for your home comfort needs with no money down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. That's right, a full year of chill with zero stress. Call Southern Air NOLA today or visit us online at southernairnow.com.
Discover rebirth and resiliency with the powerful reopening of Living with Hurricanes, Katrina, and Beyond at the Louisiana State Museum's Presbyterian Galleries. Experience stunning visuals, immersive exhibits, and powerful stories of survival. Trace the journey from devastation to renewal and witness how Louisiana has transformed its future to prevent a disaster like Katrina from happening again. Now open at the Presbyterian in Jackson Square. More information at louisianastatemuseum.org/Katrina.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different.
Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
It's all things legal on WWL and streaming live on the Odyssey, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio apps. To consult with Doug Sunseri or Albert Nicaud, call their office at 504-837-1304 or connect now on the Oakland Hart Jewelers Talk and Text line 504-260-1870.
All right, we're back, Doug Sunseri, Albert
Nicaud, you weekend lawyers, all things legal. Wanted to thank Coleman for keeping us on time back at the studio. Man, you got a long
Man, y'all not going to finish sports talk. Let's see, you finish about 6:30.
Till Bobby sobers up.
About 9 o'clock, huh? Listen to Bobby's rant after the game. I think Bobby sort of sums it up in 10 to 15 minutes as to the state of the Saints. So always anxious to hear what he has to say. We have a text, Albert. It says, you don't have to wait until you're old to make a will. Well, let me preface this before I read it. It's sort of a morbid test, but we'll read it anyway. It says, you don't have to wait until you're old to make a will. You can die anytime. I made my will in my 30s. So there
you go. Absolutely. The last call, or not the last, but the one before that was talking about the will. The older fella, it seemed, been married 46 years. He was saying that, I need a will, and but at Louisiana, I hear that, it's pretty fair in terms of how it's distributed. Well, that's true. But if you're single, if you're, a couple with no children, or same-sex couple, or any of those, a blended family, blended family, second wife, third husband, whatever the case may be. Those are the folks that really do need wills, and everybody should have something that's going to state their wishes, just so you know that your estate's taken care of. But those are the folks that really, the law kind of, the civil code and much of the succession and probate law was written, in the 1800s with the traditional family, and so you want to make sure that your wishes are taken care of. That if you leave everything to your spouse, then when your spouse passes away, if the spouse doesn't have a will, then your side of the family or your family gets left out because they're not related to that spouse. So it's those are the little things that you want to kind of go through and make sure it's taken care of.
Yeah. And so I think it's a balance. You want to take care of certain things, but also too, if you feel like somebody's trying to make it overcomplicated, I would just take a step back. Because you want to have a balance. You want to have everything taken care of in an efficient manner. I always remember the story. I worked for Bill Becknell when I was out of school, who was the attorney for John Meekum and also Tom Benson, and he did work for Tom, and also David McDaniel. And when we had done Tom Benson's will in 1991, it was only 8 pages. And I asked David, and it's always stuck with me. I said, David, why is this will only 8 pages? And he goes, that's all it needed to be. And there was a lot of wisdom to that. In other words, in effect, and that's why I say when you do your estate planning, find out what your objectives are, build around it, and build around it in a very efficient manner.
Right.
Because I think a lot of times, a lot of that extra contingencies that will never happen often cause more confusion and often conflict with some of the basic provisions of the other portion of the will. So, just have a balance is what I'm saying is, because we had, had a client who they had a highly sophisticated will involving making contributions into a trust from their business every year, but it was a very unsophisticated business. In other words, they sort of were old school. And I think on an academic level, the will was a brilliant document. You had to be brilliant in order to come up with all these intellectual ideas. But in implementation, it didn't work. And the way I described it to the client, I said, it was a good idea, but the implementation was not pragmatic. I basically said, in sports language, it's like trying to teach a 6 and 7-year-old football team the West Coast offense. If you do that, they're not going. You got to teach handing the ball off, very simple plays, because they live a very simple. And so I think that's part of the art of the estate planning and getting the right plan to have that balance of having everything covered in a very efficient way, and not all this overkill that makes things more complicated. So just if you do your estate plan, that just keep that in mind. All right, let's go to a break. Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
The WWL shows you love delivered to your phone free. Download the Odyssey app and follow your favorites. Tommy Tucker, Newell Normand, Scoot. Listen when you want, how you want. Or tell your smart speaker, play WWL. Breaking news about the Saints, Pelicans, and LSU on WWL is powered by BetMGM. Smarter bets start with BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app or visit BetMGM.com today. WWL is proudly sponsored by Dudley DeBosier, official injury lawyers of the New Orleans Saints. Call 444-4444.
That's 444-4444. Non-attorney spokesperson Chad Dudley, New Orleans.
Thanks to you, our customers, we at Plessis Builders have got some great news.
We've been named as one of this year's Full and Spy News Top 50 Builders in the country.
This honor is based off a list of criteria that involves our staff, industry, and community involvement.
And most importantly to us, customer service.
For more information about this honor and to see our extensive gallery of high-end pools, go to DuPlessisBuilders.net.
That's DuPlessisBuilders.net to work with one of the top 50 builders in the country.
LCMC Health is on a mission to cancel cancer. From exciting clinical trials with academic partners LSU and Tulane, to treatment innovations and life-saving therapies being carried out every day by cancer-fighting teams across the 8-hospital system. And you can join the fight. Visit lcmchealth.org/cancel cancer for a calendar of free screenings and a wealth of wisdom from LCMC Health's own cancer experts. Get screened, get informed, get involved. And let's cancel cancer.
Are you a business owner doing your own bookkeeping? Why? It makes no sense, literally. Focus on what you do well, like growing your business, and let Accounting Services Unlimited handle your bookkeeping. Hi, this is Thomas Fontes. Accounting Services Unlimited is insanely affordable and will come to you. Call for a free quote. Accounting Services Unlimited, 504-717-6253. That's 717-6253. Or visit us at asu-llc.com.
So we do a giveaway at GiveMeTheVin.com. Every month we're giving away $25,000 to one lucky person that sells us their car. Karen, you there?
I'm here. Karen Gardner of Oceanside, California is the latest winner in GiveMeTheVin.com's big cash giveaway.
What did you sell us?
I sold you a 95 Impala.
And what did we pay you for it?
You guys gave me 18.
18 plus 25,000 because you're the winner, Karen.
Oh my God, you're kidding.
You could be next to get a little more, maybe a lot more.
You guys are awesome. Keep it up.
No purchase necessary. For official rules, go to GiveMeTheVin.com. Sell us your car.
Feeling tired, stressed, not quite yourself? Could be low testosterone affecting your energy, mood, and even drive. Kronos Body Health and Wellness specializes in hormone replacement therapy with a personalized approach to boost energy, strength, and vitality. You'll experience improved mood, increased muscle mass, better focus, and performance. Let Dr. Scott work with you to create a custom plan for your needs, restoring balance so you feel strong and productive again. Don't wait. Visit KronosBHW.com or call to take the first step today. CHRONOSBHW.com.
Insurance companies have teams of professionals to fight your claim.
If you want to know what your case is really worth, I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 475-2323.
LA 167908.
MLR. You know who we are. Roofing and construction experts. MLRBuildersLLC.com.
At Tax Relief Advocates, we get it. Thinking about back taxes to the IRS can be very unsettling. Don't lose hope. With thousands of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, TRA is resolving taxpayers' delinquent tax problems nationwide once and for all. We could significantly reduce and even eliminate what you owe the IRS. If you haven't filed your taxes in years or are already facing collections, we can help. We aren't just some run-of-the-mill tax service company. We specialize in helping individuals and businesses with $10,000, $50,000, or even $500,000 in back taxes get speedy resolution. And in many cases, only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. The IRS isn't going anywhere, and neither is your tax problem. To see what tax relief you qualify for, visit TRA.com or call 800-335-8578. 800-335-8578. Again, that's 800-335-8578. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Back to attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri on WWL. Stream all things legal and our time-shifted podcasts on Odyssey, TuneIn, and now on the iHeartRadio app. Or connect now on the Oakland Hart Jewelers Talk and Text line 504-260-1870.
All right, we're back.
Albert Nicaud.
Weekend Lawyers
making the complex understandable. Okay,
we'll be off for the next 2 weekends. We'll be back
on
Sunday,
October 12th, when the Saints play the Patriots at 3:25. And they'll be playing at 3 o'clock.
We'll be off for a couple weeks. We'll be back in 3 weeks. Albert, any predictions for the Saints games? 2 predictions. Will the Saints win, or are they going to beat the spread, which is 7.5 right now?
I like the Saints. I like the Saints winning. I like the Saints winning this week. They win this week in a close one.
Not getting you there, Albert.
Sorry. Yeah, hang on. Yeah, they win this. Hang on, I had it on.
There you are. There you are. You're back.
They win this week. Yeah, no, Coleman's freaking out. What did I do? It was me, Coleman. No, but it's. I like the Saints in a win. I think they win a close one at the end.
I think so.
Yeah, I think Seattle's looking past an 0-2 team with, it's like, okay, who do we key on? Nobody, right? How do you game plan for the Saints, really?
You take the money line because you're going to get some good odds on the money line.
I'd take the money line, and look, I'm not being unrealistic. I think this is a good trap game for them, and I think this is it's a chance for the Saints to put it together. And look, they've been playing teams close.
All right. I think you got to give the points, take Seattle, but I hope I'm wrong. All right. We'll see you in 3 weeks in All Things Legal. Have a great week and go Saints. And prove me wrong.
There you go.
Thanks, Coleman.
The new